Everybody, Dan Illman and Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Friday, December the 2nd, race number 8 at Del Mar. We're going 5/8 of a mile on the turf. This race for Cowbreds, first level allowance, $20,000 claiming option. Let's take a look at this field. Please scan the QR code for race of the day access on your mobile devices. And Mike, I guess it all comes down to what you thought of the 7th race at Santa Anita on October the 8th, because Forgiving Spirit and Who's Candy ran 1-2, and they both got figs.
Yeah, they did. I guess, yeah, maybe it does come down to that. Then it did come back a pretty fast race. Personally, I can't say that I was thrilled with it, but I see they're both contenders for sure.
That race, however, did come at 3/4 of a mile at Santa Anita. It's a whole new ball game, going a sharper 5/8 at Del Mar, and there should be some speed. We'll throw up the Timeform US pace projector. I'm a little bit surprised there was no red bar in here, Mike. The 8 Who's Candy is very fast, but it's not like these other horses can't step early. Cowboy Charlie, especially the number 5, is very, very fast out of there.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean, I guess it all depends on tactics in this race, Dan, because in some ways, when I was done handicapping the contenders in the race, the first thing I thought was, who's going to get aggressive in here? Because there are several horses who are fast enough to make the lead if they want it. It just kind of seems like they don't always want it. Certainly Cowboy Charlie, though, is one of the horses who always goes from the gate.
A horse that, as you see on the pace projector, is very tactical is the number 1 Moose Mitchell. He's quick, but he's not a blazer, and he might settle into a good pace tracking, ground saving position under Mario Gutierrez. Now, what you're supposed to do with his last race is just simply draw a line through it, because he was held by the starter in the gate. He never really had a fair chance, and he actually ran all okay, all things considering. I think it's better to focus on his race 2 starts back, going 6.5 down the hill. He just missed by a half length, and he got a competitive buyer speed figure.
Yeah, and that race 2 back is one where it's one of those situations, Dan, where it's another race for this horse where they didn't really get aggressive with him from the gate. He had speed, he got forward in there, but Mario Gutierrez was content to just take a hold, sit off the runner-up who was cutting the pace in there, didn't really challenge that horse till they came to the stretch, and then he just got out-finished at the end. I thought he ran fine. He gets a pass for his last one. He's one of the horses that I was sort of referencing in the open, Dan. I wonder if they'll get more aggressive with him. His dirt form, which, listen, maybe that's just his best surface, but they get aggressive with this horse on dirt, and he runs well in those races. His first ever turf start back in February, they got aggressive that day. He ran great in there. If he was mine, I'd be sending from the rail.
It'll be interesting to see if he is fast enough, cutting back from 6 to 5 with a couple of 5-furlong specialists in here. But you're right, this horse can get close to the pace if he is ridden aggressively. The 2 is Larry's Legend. We're going to watch Larry's Legend's most recent start. It was his first ever turf sprint in race number 19, and he went off at 85-1 and a $25,000 claimer, but he doesn't run like an 85-1 shot. He's still in the lead inside the 8th pole, and he's going to drop a tough decision for those that had the faith.
This is a tough beat for him. He's very game in this race, but as you saw there, when they came into the upper stretch, that race was totally up for grabs. And he just sort of got run down by the favorite. At the end, he still ran well. It's the best race he's ever run. I didn't really see him making the lead in here, Dan. I didn't really like his chances to improve on that effort.
And even though that was an open race and now he'll be in against Cowbreds, it's worth noting that 5 horses from that race has already come back. None have hit the board, and the best buyer of the 5 only a 73. Forgiving Spirit is up next for Peter Miller. This horse won a $30,000 starter last time out, going 3/4 of a mile, and Forgiving Spirit got a very nice ride from a 7-pound apprentice. Broke well in this race, settled for the pocket. The rail opens up. He's going to squeeze on through Who's Candy, who's just to his outside. Who's Candy's busy fighting off the horse to Who's Candy's outside. Here comes Forgiving Spirit on the rail. Perfect trip for the winner.
Yeah, he did get a perfect trip, and he got the job done. I kind of feel like that was maybe the race to have him. Danny went off at a great price. He got a great trip and capitalized on it. The race 2 starts back, I didn't feel like he got the greatest ride in the world there from Pratt, who just, it was one of those situations. They didn't use his speed at all, didn't go aggressively, and then asked him to make up some ground late, and he couldn't do it. I don't know. I don't love his races overall, and I don't really want to bet him back after winning at a really good price last time, but certainly he's a contender.
He did beat two next out winners in that race, and the third place horse shipped all the way out to Gulfstream and earned a 93 buyer in his next start, when second in a starter allowance on the Tapeta. The 4 is Jack Six Pack. Jack Six Pack, we have not seen him since April, since this performance going a 2-turn mile in a first level allowance. And Jack Six Pack had a clear lead turning into the stretch. He's going to get run down late by a very sharp horse, a horse that would come back to win 2 of his next 3 starts, including the Snow Chief Stakes, a $250,000 state bred event.
Yeah, I suppose just based on what Bally's Charm has done since then, you don't want to be too disappointed in that loss, Dan. But boy, that was a race that felt like he had won in mid-stretch, and he couldn't quite prevail. He's got to improve, and he's got to do a cutting back, which I feel like is a pretty tall order.
I think you have to wonder if off the layoff, Phil D'Amato is using this race as a sharpener, a prep race maybe for a longer distance race down the road, although he has been working very quickly at Los Alamitos for this. Cowboy Charlie is up next. Now, 2 starts back at Del Mar for an open 62.5 restricted to 3-year-olds. Cowboy Charlie broke very fast and took them on a merry chase all the way around at 5/8 and earned a 90 buyer. He seems to like the 5/8 at Del Mar. They took him down the hill last time out. He got tired going 6.5.
Yeah, it feels like the 5 probably works for this horse. And he's another one with a 90 buyer 2 starts back. If he can run that kind of figure, I guess he's going to be tough in here. I do think this pace is going to be a little faster, as well as he ran 2 back, Dan. He basically got loose on the lead that day. And I just feel like some other horses are going to go in this spot. And it's at least, worth noting, he's up in class for this. These are some better horses than the ones that he beat 2 and 3 starts back.
That's a very good point. Also, his last race, again, 5 horses have come back from that race. None have hit the board. Best buyer 76. Midnight Special is up next. This is a 6-time winner. He was on the lead last time out. I really couldn't see the excuses. He took a little bit of pressure that day, but it's not like they were going fast. It's for Santa Anita standards, 1/4 mile and 22 and 3. He got tired. He can be part of the pace if he's aggressively ridden. The question is whether he's good enough at this point.
That's how I feel about him too. 2 things bothered me. I mean, he does have a couple of races that I think would give him a real chance in here. And I do feel like they're probably going to sit off the pace with him a little bit this time. And maybe that's just his preferred running style. But man, he was terrible last time. As you mentioned, that pace wasn't fast. The horse that was sitting on the pace with him was the horse who finished second, Ivonsky Style. This horse was no match for that one when they came into the stretch.
Bodacious is returning off a 551-day layoff, the number 7, now under the tutelage of Ryan Hansen. I really like the way this horse graduated 2 starts back, going 1 mile and an 1/8, set some legitimate fractions, kept right on going. Last time out, it was a race where, again, the pace was fast, the competition was tougher, and he didn't run as well. This layoff is a major concern. They're going to cut him back.
Yeah, the layoff is too long for me to want to take him in here. It'll be interesting to see what he does, though, Dan, because it's at least worth pointing out he broke his maiden going 9 furlongs, but this horse sprinted effectively before that.
And he did face good competition in that last race, his first and only race against winners. The runner-up is now a state-bred stakes winner. Who's Candy is up next. We saw Who's Candy make the lead in his most recent start. He was run down by Forgiving Spirit. All in all, it was a pretty good trip because it looked like he got clear after a 1/4 mile, had a pretty clear lead at the 3/8 pole, and just was run down late. But it was a solid performance for a lightly raced horse. The buyer obviously puts him in the mix, and he has speed. They're going to go with him.
I think they are too. I just don't like his races, that much before the last one. And to be honest, Dan, I didn't really see his excuse in that race last time. I guess Forgiving Spirit is okay, but this horse didn't have an excuse to get run down there. His race 2 back, I felt like they were prepping him off the layoff. They didn't use his speed at all. I'm with you. I think they're going to use his speed this time.
Ivonsky Style completes the field. We'll watch his most recent start. It was at this level earlier in November. Showed good speed in here. He was battling it out in the early stages with Midnight Special. He put Midnight Special away. He's going to run second, and the winner's a useful horse, a horse that's come back to do a horse that's run some good races in his career. Ivonsky Style ran fine here. I just think the pace is going to be faster this time around.
I do too. The last time they won 5 with him at Del Mar, 3 starts back, I actually felt like he ran pretty well that day because he was the only one who was sort of part of the pace that day, who was still hanging around at the end. I just don't like his 2 races since then. I didn't think he ran well 2 back, and I didn't really like that loss last time.
Before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for our Friday race of the day. We're at beautiful Del Mar. Mike's going with Moose Mitchell. Again, throw that last race out. He was declared a non-starter. He never got out of the gate. He has way more speed than that, and he is eligible to show it from the inside post.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I think they could get more aggressive with him here, and I think that might really work. To me, it just seems like he's a better horse when he's involved early, and I'd like to see them, involve him earlier, even if it's not right on the lead. Keep up close to this pace. He's a good price on the morning line.
Although the top two finishers in that October 8th race ran well, I'm going to buy into that 90 buyer speed figure. Forgiving Spirit is a pretty underrated break. He's sharp from the gate. He can either get up close or he can sit just off if the pace is hot. Who's Candy? I thought ran well enough and that he's lightly raced enough that he can back up that last race. 1635 for Mike, 3849 for me. It's the Friday race of the day. It's at Del Mar. Good luck.